Welcome, welcome, dear friends. It is me, Dr. Andrea Pennington, the host of Conscious Evolution, and welcome to this special edition in honor of Juneteenth. If you didn't know, June 19th is a day that we African Americans celebrate and honor the emancipation of the last slaves that were in America in the state of Texas on 1865 on this day. So Juneteenth is an unofficial holiday, but it is definitely being celebrated far and wide this year because it has been such a traumatic experience, needless to say. So I honor you for being here and for joining us for this conversation. Today I am joined by a special guest. You may have seen him before. His name is Roméo Cournal. And he is co-author of this beautiful book called Time to Rise, which is written by me, Roméo, and 28 other authors from around the world. But today we are really going to be talking about what is going on in the world, and in particular, how it's impacting people of color in other countries besides the United States. So, first and foremost, Roméo Cournal, thank you so much for being with me and speaking in English.
Thank you, Andrea. It's always a great pleasure to be with you. It's always a great challenge for me to speak in English in public, and I love it.
Good. Well, I'm so grateful that you're always up for a challenge. But as you've seen, I was up for the challenge. I interviewed you in French, three times. So thank you for being here for me. Well, this is a very, very strange time, and it is a very painful time. But in the same instant, there is reason for hope. And
Yes.
we're going to get into that. But what I would be really happy for you to share is a little bit about your background. So I didn't read your intro, but I'm going to. So I mentioned that Roméo is a co-author in the book Time to Rise. He's also been a coach and a facilitator or a trainer who is specialized in applied neuroscience. He has studied in Paris at the Institut de Neurosciences Appliquées, and he has been an élève. Okay, now I'm speaking French. Okay, let me get this together.
Student.
Student, étudiant, élève, student. He has been studying with other great notables, including Greg Braden, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he has a particular focus on the brain and how we can recondition ourselves, in particular, the subconscious mind. He is even venturing into the world of epigenetics and quantum physics. So, Roméo, you do these trainings, you do workshops, you also work with individuals as a coach. Why do you, tell us a little bit more about why you've been really vocal about the concept of being in mental slavery?
First of all, I'm West Indian. I'm French West Indian, and my mother was a French descendant, and my father African descendant. Okay, the family, all the ancestors of my mother were ship merchants. Merchant of slave during the period of
so they were slave owners or slave traders?
Slave traders of during the French
Tu peux
French
le dire
period of
en français.
la traite négrière, en fait. Effectivement, je me suis pas posé la question. During the slavery period
Right.
in France and all the French colonies in the Caribbean Sea, and my father arrived. The ancestors of my father arrived in the Caribbean by being slave, and now I am a descendant of this both of them, and it's called me about my identity, about who I am. Am I Afro-descendant? Am I European descendant? Am I both of them? Am I a Métis? Am I West Indian? Who am I?
Yeah.
And
I've got some
it's
of that going on over here too.
I think I say, and I know that everyone in the world today have to ask this question: who am I? And the last upheaval across the world make it emergency to speak about it, to think about it, and to decide our own identity. And that's the reason why it's, if you know, if it's not really a choice I had to pass this way. It was my destiny, I think, and it is for me like devoir moral. I don't know how to say devoir moral.
The moral path.
A moral path, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for me, for my family, for my children, and for all the people I coach.
Well, I want to get into some of the particularities because one of the things that was puzzling to me, I've shared this with you. I am American. That's the basic version. Like you, I have a West Indian background. My mother is from British Guyana. There's also a Guyane Française. There's a French Guyana and a British Guyana. My mom is from British Guyana, so it's also the West Indian kind of vibe. And my father is Black American. So growing up, I had these two influences. And it posed some challenges for me, I'll be honest. You know, growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, people were very confused. There weren't very many immigrants around, so my mom really stood out. And getting teased, you know, growing up about the way we spoke or the way we looked and those sorts of things. So slavery it wasn't so much the focal point, but being an immigrant in America was. But one of the things that you and I have talked about is what's interesting is that there's this upheaval all around the world. Now, we Americans might think, okay, we've seen this from Trayvon Martin, of course, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and the list unfortunately goes on. But what was interesting was to hear my friends in Copenhagen saying that there were protests for the Black Lives Matter movement. There were protests here in France. Now, of course, police brutality exists in every country, but to me it was very interesting. Like, why are they, you know, taking up to the streets for us? Is it just because they're tired of the, lockdown from coronavirus and they just want to be out in the streets for a reason? But you mentioned that in Martinique, before the unfortunate events with George Floyd, there was already an upheaval. Tell us about that in May.
In Martinique, in May, it's a celebration of abolition of slavery in this country, in this island, and the senator who writes the law was Victor Schellcher, and there is a lot of statues of Victor Schellcher in Martinique, and the day of commemoration of abolition in Martinique. Some people broke the statue of Victor Schellcher, and I think that it's really interesting because it's been abolition, but abolition of the slavery was, for me, only about business, about an economic model which was dépassé.
It was over. It had reached its
Caduc.
time.
It was over.
Yeah.
Yes, it was over. And abolition is not freedom. It's only for ex-slave to be salaries. So it's just about an administrative statute.
Yeah.
Okay, and we know with the growth of conscience that abolition is not freedom. And I think that my compatriots are looking the way to get free, the way to become free, or to remember that they are free, to know how to become free beyond this past, beyond this slavery period, beyond this history. And I think that's the reason why it's been this riot in Fort-de-France or on all the island. I think it's more profound than just skin color. It's more profound than black and white. It's more profound than ex-slavery and ex-master. It's beyond that. I think it's a spiritual path. It's an intellectual and interior question and journey to know who we are.
Yeah. And so before we get into the deep spiritual piece, just as an aside, so in Martinique, are you saying that just because slavery was abolished, there is this sort of mental slavery, and part of that is just how the way the government or how the work life and everything just continues? Meaning, when you say that abolition is not the same thing as freedom, what is the liberation that you think people in Martinique, for example, are calling for?
I think about this sentence of Bob Marley, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And mental slavery is conditioning. And this conditioning is about condition of our education, our religious, or society, or philosophy, anyway. And mental slavery is to have the same reaction in front of the same stimulus. In that situation, I will react. I will act like this, and it's right. And I have to behave. And I think that freedom is to be able to choose our emotional response. Freedom is about knowing who I am now and who I want to be in that situation now, and not being always the same people, always react the same thing, always speak the same word, always produce the same emotion for any situation. And that's the difference between abolition and freedom. Abolition is an act. It's about law. It's about economy. It's about business. It's about work. But freedom, it's about me. It's about ourselves.
Well, one of the things that you and I talked about as a first step towards really becoming free is to ask this question, as you've just said, who am I really? And you make this distinction that what you see people doing is defining themselves on external things, right?
Yes, because we used to talk about what we earn, what we eat, what we have, what we lost, where we come from, and who was our parents or ancestor, and what is our skin color. And I think all that is extern to who we are, who we really are. And the trouble and the problem now in the world is that too much people identify themselves with what they have, what they earn, what they consume, and the color of the skin, the town they live in, their history, the family, all that is external. And our identity is internal.
Yeah.
And it's really important because every people with all the best volunteers, the best any kind of feeling we can have, if we identify with external thing, we will always, one day, we will always fight.
Yeah.
We will always enter in war, in fight, in riot, in grief.
Yeah.
One another.
Well, one of the things we were just talking about before is that this first step is really going to be introspection, asking ourselves these questions of who am I really? And one of the things that I think is helpful, even though it's been painful here in 2020, is the confinement, the lockdown with the coronavirus pandemic. What we've seen is that people stuck at home without having their normal activities and the ways that they numb themselves from their pain or distract themselves by going to the pubs and the bars and drinking or working. You know, all the workaholics who may have either lost their job or they couldn't telework, they were being confronted in this isolated period with their own shadow. They were really coming up against the traits, their personalities, some of the things that have been so shoved into the subconscious, into the shadow, that I almost think if we have to look for a silver lining, you know, some blessing of this terrible pandemic, it's that people are now so forced to confront themselves. And unfortunately, many of us will only evolve when pain is involved.
Yes.
And so the pain of having to see who we really are and to see and feel that discomfort, and now watching the murder of innocent people on video over and over, it's creating this wave of awakening. You know, people are awakening to the discomfort within themselves and within the world, which is ultimately leading people to be ready, some would say, to do this inner work, this inner journey, as you call it, to really find out, who am I? If I'm not my stuff, if I'm not my job, if I'm not the amount of money I earn, if I'm not the color of my skin, then who am I, right?
Yes. It was painful, and it is still painful, but it was necessary. I saw this day a video of Eckhart Tolle saying, no one can awaken without adversity. I don't know, no one in the world can awake without adversity. Not about suffering. It's not about. It's not to say we have to suffer.
Yeah.
That makes part of life. And the quarantine, thanks to the quarantine, we faced ourselves. For everyone who used to get far from themselves, it was painful, for sure, indeed. But it was a really, really great and initiatic period for me. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, it was a really initiatic period for them.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit painful. It's uncomfortable, for sure. But it's necessary to experience who we are, to remember who we are. I think we have not to become who we are, even if Michelle Obama wrote a wonderful book, Becoming. But I have a nuance about it. We have not to become who we are. We have to remember who we are. Because we are who we are since the point zero. Since the beginning, we are. When we brought, we was in we about family or society. But when we arrived in this world, we was, each of us was, and we became someone else, or maybe something else, about education, about conditioning, about mental slavery. We become someone else, and this someone else, this social self, is able to kill a man in front of a camera. This social self. But the authentic self can do that, because the authentic self is not in danger. The social self can lose what he think make part of who he is, but the authentic self is.
Mm-hmm.
And we can destroy who we are. No one can destroy who we are, and that's the reason why it's necessary to make this experience of who we are.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual path, yes. It's an initiation, yes. It's uncomfortable, yes. But it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's really necessary.
Well, our dear friend, also a co-author in Time to Rise, Margareta Tosi. Is she in Time to Rise? No, she's in Magic and Miracles. Forgive me. But Margareta was saying that remembering who we are in our core. So it's very much like that. I feel like what we are seeing being played out through the media is a grand awakening, as people are realizing that who they've been programmed to be, or the way they've been programmed to think. You and I were just talking about this. You're not born racist. I know the Dalai Lama is often quoted as saying that. No child is born hating another child based on their skin color or based on their gender. It's something that we learn. It's something that we get conditioned in. And so what we're seeing now is, I think, because people are, again, maybe it's just the time that it's this wave of awakening. Maybe it's partly helped by the pandemic. It's created an opportunity to listen and feel, because I was shocked by the number of non-Black and non-colored people who were going to these rallies and these protests, not the white supremacists, but the people who were literally supporting Black Lives Matter. There are more and more of them, and I think it's because they are feeling this sense of consciousness that we are one family. And if we can allow someone to kill another being, defenseless being, and not show any remorse, then there's definitely something wrong. And I feel like what they're realizing, as you're saying, you're not truly in danger when your social self is threatened. But there is something that happens when we realize that a life is being taken, even though it is the physical body. The physical body houses our soul, our essential self, or the authentic self. And so when we see someone being murdered for absolutely no reason, there is that part of us that reacts, that says, no, this is not okay. This is part of my family.
Our physical body, we have a physical body.
Exactly.
We are not a physical body. And it's natural to be afraid from death. We have a brain, and the function of the brain is to prevent death. But preserve the physical body from death is not is other thing that being conscious of who we are, being able to live our way, live the way we want to live it, to experience and to sense, to feel our mission, our incarnation, our intention of coming. I know that every soul who are living in this earth have a project, have an intention, and that intention is not war. That intention is not slavery. That intention is to, I think, it's to live, to express the infinite way of of divine energy is to manifest the different and the infinite way to be divine and to be conscious and to live about with color, emotion, meeting people, love, harmony, compassion.
Yeah.
And when we know it's not natural to no one can appear in this world to say, okay, I want to make war. I come in the world to make war. No, it's not possible. If I make war, it's because I feel in danger. I feel I'm afraid of death, but not about the physical body. If I am the physical body, it's normal, it's natural for me to be in war to defend my physical body. If I don't know that my physical body is not who I am, but something I have, and losing my physical body is not losing who am I, because I am eternal, I'm infinite,
Yeah.
I'm infinite soul. So I have to respect my physical body. I have to respect the physical body of other people. White skin, red skin,
Blue,
black skin,
yellow,
anyway,
black,
blue,
all.
every way,
Yeah.
every way. And being conscious is being respectful. I don't think that it's so important to think about law, about respect, about quota. We have to see Latinos, Afro, right? I don't think that is the good way, and that is sufficient to bring harmony in the society.
Yeah.
I think it's really a hard path.
Well, you're touching on something that's a little controversial, my friend. So, are you saying that you don't feel like there should be programs to balance out and create more diversity? For example, in companies, I mean, this is a big deal in the United States. I don't know about in Martinique or other places.
Mhm. It's
Because
not
yes,
enough.
it is. I understand it's not enough, but I feel like corporations have got to do something. It can't just be an individual choice.
I think it's an individual choice and a collective choice. It's a harmony between both of them. Um, I am not against quota. I am not against. I only say that it's not enough.
It's not
And
enough.
the base, it's the philosophy, the spirituality, what you want, but how we feel and how we think in our mind, in ourself, in our true self. Um, and that makes sense. And quota makes sense if I am educated in love, if I am educated in compassion, in harmony. And it doesn't make sense if there is no this love education,
Got it.
this consciousness.
Got it. It definitely is a shift in consciousness. And Margareta says there's been so much injustice done during the pandemic, and people are waking up to call out injustice. She says we're in it together, and we can only overcome this when we unite. So you mentioned that back in May, people in Martinique were throwing over these statues. They're already in their own protests. What is it they're asking for in Martinique? What is the way forward, do you think, for that they would like?
They want freedom. They want really freedom.
But how would that look? I mean, what would look different? I mean, we know what we're calling for in America. What are people in Martinique calling for?
It's about the economy. It's about the history. After the slave period, the ancient masters keep all the economic model of the El País of the island. Okay, and Afro descendants feel inferior, feel that they can control, they can do business, they can have shops, they can have enterprises, they can have what they want to in the life to work, the work they want, and they think that they need like a revolution. They have to go to throw them away, throw the right people away. And unfortunately, it's always war. The trouble, the problem is not white or black. The problem is war. The problem is a separation. The problem is organization of our mind about white people are more than me and black people are less than white people. And if we are in victim way, we will want to kill the oppressor.
Right.
But oppressing the oppressor is becoming an oppressor. And we will never end war.
And so what would you like to see happen?
Wisdom. Wisdom.
Et comment
Wisdom.
Ça?
And
How do we arrive at this wisdom?
I think, if it was Coluche, a French humorist, who said, if you don't want people to buy, to sell something, you don't have to buy it. If you don't want a stranger of a cast of people have for them only the economy, the shop, you have to not buy products in this shop. You have to become entrepreneur. You have to become able to deal with become better entrepreneurs that the other one. You have to become better. You have to become better and better, good, better, best.
Okay.
And you have to become autonomic.
So you're talking about create an alternative to the status quo, where people can get together and do business together, become independent, and not dependent on the state.
And not dependent of no one. And I prefer the word autonomic that independent, because it's not about clothes and being without anyone. It's about harmony. To be in harmony, beauty is the source of harmony. And why beauty is the source of harmony? Beauty is in the eyes of the people who look. If I know my beauty, if I know the beauty of other people, I am able to be in harmony with other people. But if I am ugly and he is beautiful, I want to ressemble, to be like look like other. Méprise, je me méprise. Oh, zut. Se mépriser.
Mépriser, c'est quoi?
Mistaken. I mistake about myself.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, I'll be honest. I was just preparing for a post that I'm putting out. There is a certain aspect of self-rejection that you're talking about. If we have grown up in a racist society, which we have, and we are looking at people who have white skin as being better, then what does a child growing up in that state do? They start to feel bad about themselves. Why isn't my skin color like that? Why isn't my hair like that? Why aren't my eyes like that? And that ends up leading to self-rejection. And in my case, it led me to always try to fit in. And unfortunately, I was never black enough. The black people were like, you're not exactly like us, because I had an immigrant mother and different sort of skin. But then the white people were like, oh, but you're not like the other black people either. So I wasn't quite black enough or quite not black enough. And it caused this sense of rejection of my own experience. I wasn't able to walk around with the same sort of pride that the black people had that where I went to university, or that I saw in the whites. And I think that's worth mentioning.
I think that behind you there is a real self-love handbook.
Yes.
And I think the remedy about all that is self-esteem. But to be able to love myself, I have to know who I am.
Yeah.
I have to know myself. How can I love myself if I don't know myself?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the reason why. And I am black. Okay, I'm beautiful. I'm fat. I'm beautiful. I think I'm beautiful. I have blue eyes. I'm beautiful. I red black eyes. I'm beautiful. And if I able to see my beauty, if I am able to consider myself, if I'm able to love myself as I am,
Yes.
I am able to love other people as they are. And that's the only way to end war. The only way. I don't know any, maybe you know another one. I don't know anyone, what else?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I think that's ultimately the truth. We have to know who we really are, and that is not based on external things. And so, yes, in the book, the first part of the book is all about helping people realize who they are not. That all the ways you've been programmed isn't your essential self. We put on these masks. We have this ego that gets developed in response to the socialization process and our family, our religion, our media. And so I do feel like around the world, people are waking up to this reality that as they're realizing, oh, I may have lost my job, but I'm still here, or I lost my spouse, or I lost my money, and they're realizing that their identity, which was always built on something external, isn't true. But if that's not who I am, then who am I? And I think people are waking up to that. I think that is, as you've said, one of the benefits of this crisis is that we're having this time to really go within. And I'm really grateful that that there are enough people now around the world having these conversations, as difficult as they are, and facing the racist activities within themselves, as difficult as that is.
I think the first step is silence. Silence. The first step is silence, is to be able to shut down the TV shows, shut down the information, shut down the radio, shut down just for a moment and keep in silence and make this experience of who am I? And in this silence, I will feel something will happen. What? I don't know, but something will happen. Okay? The first step is silence. And the second step is peace. Peace is what I feel when I am able to choose my emotional response. Okay, that is that. Okay, the people is, the road is the road. Okay, there is a lot of trouble, riots, crisis, coronavirus. Anyway, okay, that is the way it is. That's the way it is. Okay, am I able to be in peace in this situation? And I think that if I am not able to be in peace in that situation, until I found peace in that situation, I can react, I can act for the good of me or other people. The first step is silence. The second is peace. And only after I can decide my action. Because if I am not in silence, if I am not in peace, my world will be noise. My action will be agitation.
Yeah, agitation.
Agitation. Okay. I know it's difficult, okay, but it's a training.
Yeah.
It's a training, and thanks to people like you, it's become real. It's become concrete. It's become accessible for every people,
Yeah.
everyone in the world, and that is important. That is the way to growth the consciousness,
Yeah.
the elevation of consciousness.
I agree. And I know that you've been a fan of my 21-day compassion meditation series.
Oh yes.
And we said we were going to do it in French, and we still haven't.
yes.
But
Yes.
but that is part of the process. That is why I put out so much meditation, and even the guided ones. Although Roméo has just said you should sit in silence, for those of you who are new to meditation or you find it difficult, doing a guided meditation can also help you to bring some peace to your internal state and to give you something to focus on so that you're not spinning off in your mind and full of judgment. But it's interesting. We've got a comment here from Aline Daniela. She says, we are educated to not see our differences, to see no color, to actually be colorblind if we want to fight racism. But the truth is we are different. Color exists. And our differences need to be acknowledged, accepted, respected, and then we can move on. And I agree with that. I definitely agree that for those people who said, wait, why are you saying Black Lives Matter? It's all lives matter. Absolutely, that is the truth. But right now, we need to focus on the people who are suffering, especially at the hands of people in power. And then we can move on and just embrace that we're all one family. But right now, we've got to address the color difference.
Our difference are opportunities. Our difference are not a threat, are not a danger. Our difference is our opportunities, and it's about beauty. I was speaking about. I am okay. I'm West Indian. Okay, you know my skin color. Okay, people with white color are different. Okay, my best opportunity in the road is to be who I am. My best opportunity is to have who I am, what I have. I have this body, I have this origin, I have parents, I have skin color. Okay, it's my opportunity. It is mine to go deep inside myself. It's mine to be able to love myself, to be able to love other people. And difference are not and if difference is not is an opportunity for me, it's because my difference is are something that I have and not what I am.
Yeah.
Another way, another time. It's not what I am. And that's the reason why you remember the song of the Beatles, Imagine.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that. Imagine every kind of people. Let's have the courage to look at the children and to be inspired by children. You certainly you see that video of a black two children, a black 2 years
Yeah, two
2
little
years old children.
toddlers,
Yes.
one black, one white, and they're
What?
running it, and they grab each other with
Yes.
this big hug.
It's wonderful. It's so wonderful. Why is it's not possible for adults? Why? Why?
It is possible. And well, just to end things off, I'd like to hear why you have hope for the future. I will tell you one reason why I have hope, and it is to do with young people. Because as you've just pointed out, young people have an opportunity to see the truth a little bit faster or easier than the adults. And I can definitely speak as a parent. I've seen that this generation, the generation of my daughter, they have this consciousness that we earned. They just were born with it, right? Like they just recognize, like, that is not okay. That is not right. All of this discrimination, all of this prejudice, all of the isms. I feel like so many of the millennials and those coming up after them are really going to set the tone for we will not stand for this. And fortunately, there are adults that are waking up as well. But I'm curious to know, Roméo, are you hopeful for our future? I mean, 2020 has started off pretty painfully,
Yes,
um, but are you hopeful?
yes, definitely, definitely. I'm hopeful because I know that that its history, historian observe that every 5 centuries there is a cycles,
Yeah.
and we are in a cycle. We are at the end of a cycle, so we are at the beginning of another cycle, and just that make me happy. And I really want to see what the afterworld, the world, le monde d'après, comme on dit.
The
And
afterworld.
I really, really, really want to see that. I am very hopeful because we can't escape from evolution. We can't escape from nature. Every year there is a spring, summer, autumn, and winter. We can't escape from the cycle of the nature.
Mm.
And I hope, I am hopeful because we are in the nature. We are in the. We don't own the earth. We are the locataire and not the
We're
propriétaire.
renting. We're just here renting. We don't
Yes,
own it.
yes,
Well,
yes.
well,
We don't own it.
I feel like we're part of it. We are one Earth family, and I agree with you. I think this evolutionary process that is underway. There is the beautiful work of Barbara Marx Hubbard. May she rest in peace. But she was a big reason why I named this show Conscious Evolution, by pointing out that there is a shift that has already taken place in humanity.
Yes.
We are the only species that can actually actively, consciously take part in our evolution. First, we witness it, we understand evolution. But now, rather than being just pushed around by the environment and having to adapt, we can consciously choose to evolve. And
Yes.
I agree with you. I think that we are at a critical tipping point. Maybe it is, as the historians say, it's just a matter of time when one cycle ends and another one begins. But I am hopeful that with all of the great work that all of us are doing and the way that people are awakening, we will make that progress.
Yes, I think, and I'm really proud. You and I, and all the community make part of this journey, this adventure. It's great. It's
Yeah.
so wonderful.
Well, I'm happy that you're in a positive side of it because it's been painful for me. But so, Roméo, I have listed here that your website is romeocournal.fr. Do
Yeah.
you ever do any of your seminars in English?
I hope so.
Maybe
I
soon.
hope so.
Yeah.
But maybe soon. I think I will need you for that.
Yeah.
Maybe why not
Yeah. Well,
doing
maybe it will
a
be at
seminar
our.
together?
Maybe it will be back at Glay. You know, we've had
Yes, oh yes,
the Global
for sure.
Luminary Activation Experience
Yeah.
here on the French Riviera, and Roméo was able to join us for a bit of that last year.
Mm.
So it would be ideal to be able to do that because I feel like this consciousness work, this deep healing work of all of this trauma is what all of us are up to right now. So I'm very grateful to have you with me on this journey, Roméo.
Thank you.
So for
Thank
those
you
of
very
you who
much.
speak French, if you'd like to connect with Roméo, just look at romeocournal.fr, and you can find out more about him. And he's also active on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Yes.
So, my dear friends, it has been such a joy to be reconnected with you, and I do hope that you will stay tuned with us. For those of you celebrating Juneteenth, I honor you. Thank you for recognizing that we collectively need to do exactly that, to honor and respect where we've been and to focus on where we are going as one human family. with an emphasis on the Black lives that need the reparations right now. If you are up for it, I would invite you all to join me tomorrow, wherever you are in the world. I am part of the Peaceful Cities Project. And Roméo, I would invite you to do this with us tomorrow at 18 hours. So it's 6 o'clock here in France.
In
For
France.
you in America, 12 noon. We are doing a global meditation to end racism and to calm all of the tension for the Black Lives Matter movement. There will be many of us around the world. I will actually be hooked up to an EEG brain monitor, and so will other people around the world, because we know that through the wonderful work of Lynn McTaggart, for example, the intention experiment and the Maharishi effect, we know that when people come together with an intention to lower stress or to send healing or even to lower crime, there have been studies that have been done around the world that say even if we're in different locations, if we come together with a unified intention, we can make a difference. So I would ask that you join me tomorrow, Saturday, at 12 noon for New York, 6 p.m. here in France, and just meditate on peace, sending out peace for people of color everywhere.
I will be there.
Thank you. All right, my dear friends, it's been a pleasure to reconnect. Thank you for being here. And remember, no matter what's going on in your life, you are not alone. We are here with you. And you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love, everyone. See you next week.